Welcome everybody to the LinksDAO space on this beautiful January 24th. We're here to talk about some big moves that are being made and, kind of what's next for LinksDAO and how we move forward. So appreciate your patience as we've, transitioned from the NFT sale to, figuring out all of the details and fun things about a DAO. It's been a really great process and really just, I'm the community manager. I love this community. It's probably the best that I've ever seen, in or out of Web3, online community, the relationships that are being built, everyone, I just, can't speak highly enough of this group of people from the community and also this team and what we've all been able to accomplish together. It's been really remarkable. We've had some incredible things happen with partnerships. I've met some of you in person in real life, at Five Iron Golf here in Philly, and everything from in person to Twitter to Discord, the vibes, the energy for this mission has just been fantastic. So I wanted to start out and just say, thank you to all of you for working together and making this possible and supporting this mission.
And Coop, also thanks to you, man, and the community team, like all the volunteers that have raised their hand to be part of this. I think we have about 40 people, keep me honest, Coop, in the community team that basically keep this thing moving down the track, and all of them are making such a huge difference in this mission.
Yeah, absolutely. The people who have stepped up to contribute time and skills, people like organizationally and community wise and moderation and content and the people building the mulligan, it's been really incredible. So yeah, props to all of them for picking up on this fantastic idea and running with it. It's been amazing to watch.
Yeah, and Ken, maybe before we just get started on the updates and the details and all that, like everybody from the founding team can certainly attest that the interest in this in the project from kind of the classic and historical golf community, meaning like larger corporations, the PGA Tour, European Tour, players, has just been almost overwhelming at this point, which means that we're really doing something special. So anybody that's here that's been part of this project to this point, you should be super proud about where we are, because we're just 5 weeks in and the interest is just super exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. The conversations that we've been having, the interest, the excitement from, across technology and Web3 and NFT space, but also to the real legacy golf world, the response and interest has been unbelievable. Just really exciting conversations happening. And, we've got a few results of those conversations to talk about tonight and how the DAO moves forward. But I'll turn it over to Mike.
Hello, friends. Hey, thanks for joining us. It's been a couple weeks since we've done a LinksDAO update. The project at this point, I think we're 6 weeks old, so we're still new, but just an amazing amount of progress, developments, and internal and external interest. And by internal, I mean the community. So the most remarkable thing to me and to I think everybody involved is we have almost 16,000 folks now in our Discord. And this is not like, hey, we paid for members of the Discord. This is like a really active group. What's interesting is we've had folks leave, come back, over the last week, and it's held steady at 16,000, and really active contributors. And so it's pretty remarkable. 30,000 Twitter followers, but most of all, 5,000, I believe, over 5,300 NFT holders. So we came up with the idea 6 weeks ago to basically do what I would call a combination of the notion of raising money for an objective, a really exciting, audacious goal, similar to what Constitution DAO did. Hey, we're going to buy the Constitution. In our case, the notion was, look, we're going to go out and create a phenomenal real world golf and leisure club. So literally transform one of the largest leisure pastimes in the world, one that's historically been sort of closed, exclusive, the sort of domain of a few, but something that people love to do, which is just go out and play golf and be a member of a sort of social club. And we basically sort of tried to say, hey, we're going to go out and raise money in a way that will get people excited, involved, and get them behind a common goal. At the same time, do it in a way that gives those folks who are participating the opportunity to vote on what that club looks like. And the folks who could get involved, basically, because of the technology that we have and the distribution mechanisms that we now have for ownership and for participation and for membership, basically we have the ability to involve anybody globally in this project. So anyway, we came up with this idea, sort of a mixture of fundraising and towards a common mission, and the idea of sort of club membership and participation. And anyway, came up with the idea, talked about it publicly, got a tremendous number of folks excited about this notion, and within 3 weeks, basically had created a community, global community, 34 countries, 43 states within the United States today, who are participants who have purchased NFTs and who have the ability to participate in votes about what this future club that we're going to create in the real world looks like. And it's called LinksDAO. So that was the original mission. We've talked a lot about it. We've had a ton of, discussion, debate, writing on paper, writing up ideas. And we're excited tonight. It's 5-6 weeks later to actually start to transition the ideas that we've had into something that is tangible. So the whole spirit of what we're doing is people have thought about kind of DAOs, have thought about community governance and voting and participation, and it's historically been around like code and online communities, and what we're excited about again is to do something in the real world. So that's a challenge. It's both an opportunity and a challenge. So anyway, tonight we're going to start moving towards sort of combining the two, and we're instituting the first tomorrow set of votes. That folks who own the NFTs and have chosen to participate in this big exciting experiment can actually act. So maybe I'll hand it back to Cooper to talk a little bit about the things that we're going to be voting on tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that, Mike. It's the dream and the vision has been really exciting, and we're moving into the next phase here. So we really want to activate some of the DAO operations and voting using tools that some people who have been involved with DAOs in the past might be familiar with. And one really cool and exciting thing about our community is that for many of you, this is your first NFT or your first DAO. So we want to make sure that this process is really clear, and we want to keep it simple and straightforward, especially for this first one. But we're using Discourse, which is a comment board, kind of message board with the ability for people to comment on the ideas that are proposed, and hopefully upvote it enough times or communicate enough support that we take it to Snapshot, which is where you can sign in with your wallet that holds your NFTs, which are your votes. And so it's 1 vote for a leisure NFT and 4 votes for a global NFT. And then you can vote yes or no on the proposal that's been discussed.
And I'll just pause for 1 sec there. Like, this to us is critically important. So, when we've historically talked to folks, outside of like the crypto ecosystem, and talked about DAOs, which are the definition is decentralized autonomous organization. When we talk about Web3, they're like, what the heck does that mean? Like, I don't really understand that. How is that different than like the services that I use today? And what Cooper just described is the first step towards different systems and, basically creating different services. So, we're creating, in this case, a golf and leisure club that has an online and an offline component in the long term. And as Cooper just described, the initial way that we basically start to act on this is like, hey, unlike a centralized like online golfing game that like just hands you the rules, we are effectively using um, you know uh, online tools, or sorry, so blockchain enabled tools. We have sold NFTs to folks who hold them, and they're called membership passes. And the folks who now hold those NFTs have the ability, as Cooper mentioned, there's two types of passes: the global passes, which hold 4 votes; the leisure passes, which hold 1 vote. And folks have the ability to vote on proposals that are made about the shape of this community that they're participating in. As Cooper mentioned, there's a tool called Discourse where the proposals are first floated and people can discuss them. And then there is, once they've moved past that point and sort of reached a certain threshold, a tool called Snapshot where the actual NFT holders can vote. And we as a community will determine the threshold by which votes can pass and then be effectively enacted into formal rules. All right, back to you, Coop.
I can give a little bit of high-level overview about Snapshot too, if that's helpful.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate it. Yeah, and Greg, introduce yourself.
Hey, everybody. I am Greg. I am a DeFi Solidity engineer. That's my first job. I'm a golfer in my second job, and here building LinksDAO, which has been super great and amazing community to be a part of. Just a few words. Just like it's been pretty amazing to see how many new people are coming together in Web3 about a shared passion and not just something around like speculation or pushing tokens. So it's been a really cool community to be a part of, and I'm really thankful for it. So I'll give you a quick update on Snapshot itself and give a quick brief overview of how it works. So essentially, when a governance vote gets proposed to Snapshot, we are given a block number on the Ethereum blockchain to get all of the existing holders of a given wallet that we have. And we have 9,090 total NFTs. I believe it's something around 3,000 global and 6,000 leisures. For each NFT you have in your wallet, you will be allocated 4 votes for globals or 1 vote for leisure. So if you have 1 global and 1 leisure, you have 5 votes. And when we put this proposal up, we are grabbing the most latest block number on the blockchain, grabbing all of the holders for that given block. So if you were to make a transaction and sell your NFT after this proposal goes up, you would not have, or you would still have rights to that previous vote, but the new person would not. Now, the process of voting is, this is also different from some other DAOs. Some DAOs have on-chain governance. We do not. And to clarify what that means is any actions that are voted on by proposal is executed by a multisig. It is not auto-executed. And the reason for that being is we are going to be doing many off-chain proposals. As we are working with partnerships and potentially organizations and golf courses, we're going to be doing a lot off-chain. So, we're not going to be going the on-chain execution route. But
by the way, I'll pause there. This is something I'll expect a lot of questions about during the comment period. But exactly what we're trying to do is sort of merge, on-chain voting, governance, and collective decision making with, real world execution. Which, to your point, I mean, it can't be automated by a smart contract in many cases.
Yeah, absolutely. And the nice thing is, though, because of this, you are not going to be paying gas to execute your votes. So all you'll need to do is open up Snapshot. You can type in LinksDAO. It's already actually an organization, and you'll be able to go in there and you'll see how many votes you get, vote yes, no, or whatever the options are. And all you have to do is sign a transaction. So you won't be paying gas, which is wonderful. And that should be the pretty straightforward process to governance. And I can also answer any questions in the Discord or follow up on anything from there. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that overview, guys. Yeah, the way that we're moving forward with all of this is really exciting to make this a reality, and we have a lot of plans for how in different votes for the future, and how we're gonna move forward with LinksDAO with kind of how the DAO operates. For this first one, though, we really wanted to keep the concepts clear, straightforward for what we're proposing, and execute some stuff that'll provide, clear value without taking, any, while, maintaining our direction forward. So in the past, like the partnerships team activated benefits for members, like many of you are familiar with Five Iron Golf, which is a large simulator network in the United States for golf simulators, and the members have the ability to go to Five Iron and use their LinksDAO membership for discounted rentals and simulator rentals and food and beverages, things like that. So we wanted to bring the next set of partnerships to the DAO for a vote. So the first big section of this proposal is to agree and activate partnerships for the DAO, including 20% discounts for LinksDAO members at a certain brand business name, and then a 25% discount for LinksDAO global members at a certain golf related business name, and a 20% discount for LinksDAO leisure members at a brand business name. So the reason we're functioning like that, as well as a free something of $40 value for LinksDAO members at a brand business name. These brand names will be revealed at the snapshot proposal time, because this is in my opinion, a clear win for the LinksDAO membership. We are choosing to not reveal these at this time, while we give the community the opportunity to review the proposal and then reveal these brand partners when it's time to vote. In the future, as we work out the details of this, these proposal and request for comment periods will become more interactive, more detailed, and we'll have more discussion. We really want to keep this first one straightforward up until the vote. The second aspect of this proposal is to restore NFTs to some of the community members who ended up having negative experiences in the early days of the Discord, where there were social engineering or scams that occurred in DMs and things like that. And this is something that we recognize is a problem in Discord and crypto and NFTs in general, things like this. And we really, really appreciate the energy and excitement of the new members, people who are newer to the space, that we didn't necessarily understand the risks associated, or wallet security or some things like that. And we tried to do the best job we possibly could to educate the community about some of these risks and how to keep yourself safe. But in the event of the minting of 9,000 plus NFTs, there were 5 global membership NFTs and 13 leisure membership NFTs that were stolen or socially engineered, whatever you want to call it, from some of our members. So we want, as a gesture of goodwill, we think that the DAO should restore those NFTs to the members of the community who lost them. So it's a total of 18 NFTs from the DAO treasury. So that's not a hard cost to the DAO. And we think that, I personally hope that our community, and I from my interactions, I'm almost certain they'll be strongly in support of that as well, to restore some of these early members who minted originally and lost these NFTs, so they can participate in the DAO going forward. And third and finally, the final aspect of the proposal is to donate 100% of secondary sale royalties from OpenSea from a 48-hour period at the end of this week to a charity. That period will commence if and when the vote passes for this proposal. And the donations will go to a redacted individuals charity that's focused on sports equality and inclusion. There's been a wonderful group of people that have become involved with LinksDAO after minting. The secondary sale volume has been incredible. And we wanted to take the opportunity to take some of those funds and give back, because that's all surplus. That's all secondary sale royalties from OpenSea, and we thought that would be a great gesture of goodwill from the DAO. And I personally think that this trio of ideas in this proposal will be fantastic for our community going forward. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what the community thinks in the comments and how we go forward. Keep in mind, this is our first proposal. This is our first action. We want to make sure that everything really works well. I have to give great props to our dev team for hacking a lot of this stuff together over the past week, making sure everything's working. And I'm really excited to, take this DAO to the next step, having the community feedback, having the votes, having us execute things together. The core team has done an incredible job of executing all of this stuff, and I'm excited to see how the community steps up. And, we want to get out the vote. If you know somebody who has an NFT, a LinksDAO NFT that isn't in the Discord, that maybe just follows on Twitter, that maybe hasn't heard about this yet, please spread the word. We want to get the maximum amount of, engagement for these votes.
Yeah, and I would just want to reinforce what Cooper said. We're excited about these votes. They're critically important, and we really feel like with the project of this magnitude and scale, these are the type of important things that we can vote on initially. And want to basically get a gauge for participation to see how many people are excited, actively involved, and really participating in this project. And then that will give us the confidence, as a team, as a community, to say, heck, all right, cool. Like we're in this, not just because it's something that we were excited about or because we purchased, but because we actually want to truly participate in the mission. And that's where then over the coming weeks as a community we can start to propose some really, really accelerating and more exciting votes than even the things that we think already are interesting, and will be really, really meaningful to the future of this project.
Yeah, absolutely. This is just the first vote, right? We've got a great team and community team working on a lot of really cool, new, interesting activations, from, digital benefits to online benefits to merchandise all across the board. And then also, coming up really soon in this year, especially as it starts to warm up, we're all envious of those of you who live in, southern states where you can play golf year round. But some really cool in real life golf activations, so we can all get on the course with each other and start playing golf even as we work towards this larger goal of acquiring the golf course. It's one really cool thing about this community is how we can activate these things and participate with each other both online and offline, all around our love of the game. So really excited where this is going to go.
Mr. Senior Hill or Adam, is there anything that you guys wanted to add before we sort of toss it to conversation questions?
No, I mean, I think the community team has done a great job really making this easy. Again, this is the first vote. We fully expect there to be people confused on how to do it, especially if this is your first DAO. So bear with us. We have a group of people in the Discord that are here to support you as you go through this journey. But ultimately, some of the conversation that's happening in the member channel now, just to put a finer point on how this works, what we'll launch tonight is the discourse, and each person will be able to sign up for an account. They'll be able to see the proposal that Cooper walked through and then be able to comment on it. We'll have the active conversation in that discourse topic as sort of a way to start using discourse for these more formalized proposals. Then tomorrow, as Greg said, the snapshot will launch where official voting will take place. So the one thing to not be confused about is if you go to Discourse and you leave a comment, that doesn't mean that you've actually voted. The official vote will happen in Snapshot tomorrow, but we wanted to really make live the entire end-to-end process of voting proposals, which I think someone in the chat said a good way to explain this is a lot of conversation happens in Discourse. We've been doing this for weeks. Then once those things sort of become a little bit meatier, those go into Discourse. And then once they're in Discourse, and it sucks that Discord and Discourse have such similar names, but once it's in Discourse, then sort of a more fleshed out conversation happens. And then some of those proposals will be sponsored, by the community, and those will be put into Snapshot for voting. So we have documentation for all of this. We're going to be in Discord throughout the evening and throughout tomorrow, there to help. If you have questions, reach out. But we'll have documentation. Austin put together a video that's really great that walks you through how to sort of all this works. But at the end of the day, don't feel weird if you have questions, or don't feel like you're asking a stupid question. Just reach out. We're here to help. That's all I got.
Well, with that said, you want to move on to the conversation topics, Mike?
Yeah, let's bring some folks up.
All right. Vapor Monkey. Whoever wants to speak first, I guess.
Yeah, I've got a question. First of all, thank y'all. Appreciate it. Going back to the voting to restore the 13 lost NFTs, it's kind of a two-part question. How did you guys prove that they were stolen, and how can we prevent this forgiveness from being exploited, maybe by lurking scammers or something like that?
Yeah, great question.
Yeah.
Greg, do you want to take that one, or maybe Greg start and then Coop? Greg might be off with the dog. All right, Coop, you go.
So, when these were reported, we obviously don't want to set a precedent here with, forgiveness for stolen NFTs or subject ourselves to openness for a, some type of scam on that side. But when these were reported in the week following the mint, right, or even I think most of them are in the first couple days following the mint, we did check on-chain records to verify as much as possible the veracity of these claims. And going forward, obviously, we don't want to set a precedent to that, but these are our community members that have reached out, and I've been
And
speaking
Coop,
with.
this is when we had the
informant.
Discord Wild West, right? I mean, so just to be clear, when we set up the Discord, Austin, I'm sorry, Ethan, it was this project got big fast, and we were we were up to 10,000 plus people by the time we did the NFT sale, and Cooper was volunteering. We'd brought him in, so I would say it was an unusual set of circumstances that we don't expect to be repeated again in the future. In other words, we were still setting up infrastructure to prevent the types of attacks that happened, social engineering attacks that happened. And, our community, by design and by the objectives that we have, is one that's very, many folks are very new to crypto, to self-custody. And, I'll be the first to admit that, again, we'd set this up fast and just didn't have all the protections in place that I would have wanted. And we've changed that.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to our community being a little bit fresher into the NFT space and Discord as well. And we, immediately recognized some of these threats, put the kibosh on them, and then emphasized as often as possible to the community with announcements stating, don't click on links in your DMs, the team will never DM you, things like that, quickly put an end to that kind of threat vector in the Discord community, at least. So, we've established those practices, and we've verified as strongly as possible, on chain to confirm that these people are telling the truth about what's going on. Thanks. Thanks for the question.
All right, moving on. Vapor Monkey, if you want to speak, feel free.
Yeah, I just wanted to reach out, I guess, kind of figure out what is the process going to be for the proposal side moving forward, getting something from Discord to discourse. Is there, I noticed there's a proposal pod that is forming, and part of the reason I'm asking is I have something I'd like to offer to the community, but I don't want to do it, in a public forum necessarily, so that you guys have a chance to vet it before.
Very interesting. Hey, should we do Mr. Senior Hill again?
Yeah, I mean, the real answer is we don't know the specifics yet, right? But I'd love to talk to you about your ideas. I think the loose contours are ideas will naturally come up in the Discord with the D. Then they sort of can naturally move anyone can move those into discourse and post those eventually. Right now, it's not available for everyone to do because we launched it. We want to make sure that things are stable. And then things will need to be formally sponsored by an author in order for those to go to Snapshot. So still TBD and still working it out, which is why we're sort of taking this launch slow. But ultimately, if you remember from earlier, last week we launched pods, and so the goal is to be able to sort of organize the community into actionable groups. And the way that we do this will come through those pods. So if you're interested, add me as a friend on Discord. I don't have my DMs open for obvious reasons, but just add me as a friend and let's talk and figure out how to get you involved. But we will have a very detailed plan that rolls out as we scale voting. For now, the first goal was let's get this posted, let's get the infrastructure right, and then let's iterate quickly.
All right, cool. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Okay, on to the next speaker, Crank.
Hey guys, I appreciate the professionalism and the way you guys are handling this. I know that things probably transpired much quicker than you guys had anticipated, and I appreciate you guys kind of sticking to, what was best for all of us here. This particular project is like the way that I've explained DAOs to people, like in general, and like entered them into the NFT space and more importantly the DAO space, just because I think it's such a practical idea. I would love to have just like one criticism or if constructive criticism is just for the Discord to have something where we can all be talking specifically while you guys go on spaces, just so like we can throw questions in there, just like big and like blown up for everybody to find. But most importantly, I just want to ask you guys, is this like, it sounds like a lot of giving back to the community right away. Like, is this something long term that you guys feel like, okay, the way we approach this right now has a direct impact on the partnerships that you guys are currently speaking to behind the scenes, like right now? And like, not necessarily we're going to be giving back at every turn until like this is finally like achieved from what we've basically like transpired it to be. I'm not sure if that makes sense for you guys, but just, don't want to take too much time. But thank you so much for the hard work.
Absolutely. And while you asked that question, I did throw up a Spaces questions in the Discord. So you can go ahead and pop your questions in there. That's a great recommendation that we'll, include for these type of events going forward. And yeah, we want to give back. We kind of had discussions and figured that that'd be a good way. We were so impressed by the secondary volume that we figured that'd be a good source for that kind of a thing. Obviously we want to do a lot for the sport of golf, and kind of the culture of the sport and kind of bring it forward in as many ways as possible. And I personally believe, we have the opportunity to use the power of this DAO, this movement to, fund things that are in line with that vision. So, we're obviously going to consider those opportunities very strongly and kind of look for the community for guidance on that going forward. So that's a good point.
One other thing I would say on that point is for anyone who's an avid golf fan or follower, there are a lot of things wrong with the PGA Tour, but one of the things that the PGA Tour and LPGA Tour do exceptionally well is charity. Nearly every single event has a major charity sponsor and beneficiary. And so I think for the sake of not only just being a good steward of the game, but even being consistent with, groups that we want to build relationships with, I think it's a really thoughtful and smart way for us to build credibility in the space as well.
Yeah, and I totally, just to add on one more thing around that, is like as we think about like the DAO's values and goals, I think kind of grow the game is one thing, but trying to be more inclusive to everybody is one thing that we all really want to be a part of. And I think one thing specifically about this proposal is we are taking this out of future royalties. So it will be 48 hours from the time the snapshot goes up. And part of the goal there is can we start driving more awareness with some of these brands and opportunities and charities that we're kind of bringing up? And again, that's for growing the DAO, that's growing awareness, and that's kind of how we kind of decide to not touch the existing treasury, because the existing treasury, like, we do have goals and visions that we want to achieve, and kind of do this more of a future facing grant.
Okay. Well, thank you, Crank, for your time. We're going to move on to the next speaker. Jolly, if you would like to speak.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Super excited. I do want to be a little bit transparent. So I did literally just find out about LinksDAO recently, just during scrolling through Twitter. And I'm really intrigued by just the conversation that's going on already. I've already joined the Discord and I'm fully invested. But a couple of things I want to get your guys' thoughts on based off what I've heard. So I know you guys are doing a lot of off-chain stuff. So one, how do you keep that being transparent with your guys' community? I know you guys have to do like real world execution with like purchasing stuff. So how do you also balance like the decentralization of a DAO, but also the centralization of just doing real world actions? And then I know you guys are doing a lot of charity things like with the secondary sales and stuff like that. So I'm curious of how have you guys ever thought about building a charity off the back of your guys' DAO with the secondary profits in the long term? Thank you.
Yeah, I'll start with the first question, and then we can talk about the charity question as well. So we've been very clear since the earliest days of the project that we are a online and real world project, and that the real world portion of this is we believe, and again, we said this prior to the NFT sale and at the genesis of the project, effectively impossible to execute with today's tools in a truly decentralized autonomous organization model. Meaning, if the DAO was just legally, the DAO can't be the sort of envelope entity for ownership of like real world assets, given basically that there were NFTs sold to purchasers. That would be it's just not legal, right? So effectively, what we are doing is we have the NFT holders who have voting and what we call governance rights, which is a commonly accepted term in sort of online, like in the Web3 space. But effectively, what it means is we have an online community of folks who have purchased NFTs and have the ability to vote on and effectively create, for this club, LinksDAO, this golf and leisure club in the real world, many of the rules, many of the sort of conditions by which the ultimate physical club will operate. In addition, everybody who's purchased an NFT will have the opportunity to purchase membership at the physical club. Okay, that's a huge responsibility, opportunity. Effectively, you have folks, a global community of people who are theoretically anonymous, and many can choose to be completely anonymous, who get to collectively govern on what a very novel golf club, leisure club, looks like moving forward. And what's been really exciting is because of the success that we had in attracting early supporters in the community, the energy that we have, we've had as people on the sort of founding team and the community mentioned earlier, some of the biggest brands in the world have reached out and are in either existing partnerships with us or conversations to partner with us. So we are truly changing the game of golf and leisure sports broadly, and we're 6 weeks in. But our goal isn't to do this through partnerships alone. Okay, partnerships are a wonderful way to offer benefits to our community, to our members. But we are going to go out and, as a collective community, we are going to acquire, purchase properties, purchase assets, manage them, and create first one. And the plan is default plan. And again, this is something that we'll talk about as a community, but the long-term plan is to purchase many, to collectively create a network of clubs globally that 10 years from now, like, we're all just going to be so unbelievably delighted that we played a part in creating the absolute most inclusive, awesome, fun. We love the rules. Hey, if we don't love the rules of this particular property, maybe we love the rules of that one, but we have choice. And by the way, it's not like the exclusive country clubs that we couldn't participate when we were growing up or we felt uncomfortable at. But to execute on that latter thing, which is the physical property, again, the tools just don't exist in today's like Web3 world to execute on that. The ownership, like the legality of collectively owning something, we just can't do that. So anyway, we've separated the two out, and we have LinksDAO Inc., which will operate and manage the properties, and then we have the DAO, which will effectively, you can almost think of it as like a proxy board or voting organization that oversees many of the decisions and many of the rules and many of the strategic decisions of the Inc. So I'll pause there.
No, yeah, that's I really like what you said. That's really what I was thinking. I think you guys are setting like a precedence, not only just for like the sports industry when it comes to like the DAO, but also like the real world stuff, because there isn't a lot of like technology or tools to really have a completely decentralized organization that operates for a lot of things in the real world. For example, like the charities and stuff, people still need to be out there like manning the things, handing out the food, or taking care of the golf course, for example, for you guys. So I think you guys are just setting that precedence, which is really cool. But yeah.
Yeah, and on charity, to answer your second question, that's something where we're making, hopefully, and again, this is something that I'm obviously in favor of it, but I own two NFTs, like one global and one leisure, so I get 5 votes, but I would surely believe that the first donation that we're going to make, I hope that the community members and vote for it. But to your point, like, the next thing could be a week from now, a month from now, to vote on establishing an actual pod or working group that is specifically focused on, again, golf, leisure, or something broadly related to it, or something else, charitable donations. We certainly have the financing and the treasury for it.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank everyone for their time, and you'll definitely be seeing me in the community a lot more. You guys have a great one. I'll still be listening.
Thank you so much, Charlie. We really appreciate the questions. Moving on, Meta.eth, if you want to speak. Moving on from Meta, we're going to go to JG. If you want to speak.
How's it going, everyone? So interestingly enough, I do find myself in the odd position of being 1 out of 18. That being said, I was wondering if it was okay if I made a comment in the discourse or anything like that, maybe like a statement, just voicing like where I'm coming from and how I think I'm like slightly knowledgeable when it comes to the crypto space. So I was just wondering if that would be okay with the team.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand the question, but it's 1 of 18.
The scammed NFT holders.
Oh, yeah, for sure. you're saying you want to ask, yeah, if you want to directly ask me or Coop, feel free to message us.
Okay, thank you so much. And also, I was scrolling on Angel List, and are you guys connected with the block?
I started the block.
That is amazing and convenient because I'm scrolling at the moment. I'm like, so very surprised. So, also introducing myself for that as well.
It's a lovely publication. I do recommend it.
Okay, great. Anyways, thank you so much for everything, by the way.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks, JG. Moving on, Cameron.
What's up, boys? My question, which I don't know if you guys be able to answer or not, it's like a two-parter, but it would be like the same question. It would be for the memberships that we'll have the right to purchase in the future. One, will those be an NFT as well? And then two, I guess if they are, this is already answered. Will we be able to sell that NFT? Memberships that we'll have the right to purchase in the future.
Yeah, it's a really good question. We haven't actually determined that. Whether the membership itself, what form it would take. My instinct, and again, this is not something I determine at this point. My instinct is that for a bunch of reasons, like legally and otherwise, that specific membership would not be transferable. But it could be a non-transferable NFT potentially. I see no reason why we couldn't issue the membership credential on chain. So I think, like, I could give a trivial answer, which is like, sure, we can record it on chain and issue an NFT for it. But I don't think that's your question specifically. Like you said, hey, will it be transferable? I would assume not, but I think that's something we'll debate as a community.
I
think
I'll be excited to hear about transferable and sellable. I assume that's what he's asking.
Right. Yeah, I think like the reason we didn't do that in the first place is that becomes that starts to look a lot like an asset. Yeah, which is the actual membership. So I really can't give an answer on that. Well, one, because we just haven't determined that as a community, but two, I actually don't know the legality of that. But I would imagine again that membership will require some level of adherence to rules that would make it difficult to transfer it absent some sort of checks and balances, right? And I don't know what those checks and balances look like. I'd actually be curious of other folks' ideas. I don't know if this is the right forum to discuss it, but ultimately the membership of a physical club where you're in public in a physical space is very different, I think, than holding an NFT.
Heard. I'll be excited to hear about the future of that one whenever you guys get there.
Yeah, you'll be there for the discussion. I mean, I'm sure we've got a long way to go between now and then. And I don't mean a long way time-wise, like we want to do it this year, but just discussion-wise in terms of all the considerations.
Well, thank you very much, Cameron. We're going to move on to the next speaker, Taylor.
Hey guys, what's up? So I just wanted to say thanks to everyone for running this. I think it's been an amazing project so far. Actually was able to use LinksDAO to pop a couple of my friends' Web3 and crypto virginity. They're actually on right now. Shout out Matt and Jerry. And we're all pumped to contribute to the community, kind of see where this goes. And Mike, you mentioned something about anonymity earlier. And so I was thinking a good suggestion would maybe be to keep our names anonymous on our handicaps until at least mine gets below 30. But that's it. Thanks, guys.
Mine as well. Yeah, I feel you. And it's going to be really interesting. And it's something that a number of folks have actually mentioned to me. And I'm really interested to see, what the community decides. But this notion of And I actually hope, and Greg could probably speak to this even, but I actually hope we have the tools in place. I'm not sure they're there yet, but the identity tools to sort of present information about yourself without maybe perhaps revealing your personal identity. So credibly, yeah, like Greg, you've seen projects like this with ZK Snarks and other things.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. I mean, we already saw somebody put up a shared Google Maps of locations of, everybody could contribute where they are, so that when you travel to another state, you might be able to connect with somebody. So I think there's some really interesting member directory paths we could go for actually doxing yourself if you want to go meet local golfers, which there's a lot of people in this community that want to do that. And I think there's a lot of other, kind of paths that we could go to collect this data without exposing it, and maybe we could, start figuring out a way to start getting, a little bit more information about all our members so that we can distribute to potential partnerships of some sort.
And I think, Greg, the ultimate dream is like somebody could literally submit, to become a member and present whatever the information is, right, that the community decides is necessary to become a member, but, ultimately do it as an anon, right? So you don't have to put your name by it, but it's verifiably yours.
Totally. And yeah, I would love to get my handicap, a little lower as well before we do this.
Cheers.
Thank you, Taylor. Moving on, D Whale.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Super jacked up about everything that you're doing. Thanks for having me on.
No problem.
I've been getting into NFTs in the past few months, and this was one I was, super excited about, and I've been trying to get my friends involved who are super into golf and may not be quite into the whole NFT space. They may or may not have a MetaMask account, that sort of thing. What would you say to all those kind of golf fans that maybe aren't super into the space yet, but would love to get involved and would love to know what kind of perks and what sort of things would come with purchasing the asset? Because at a $3,000 price point, it's a lot of money for a lot of people, and I think there's a lot of people who have interests. What would be your elevator pitch to them?
Yeah. So look, the elevator pitch is, well, so one. And I don't want to be seen as like soliciting, purchasing the memberships, but we have leisure memberships that aren't, $3,000, right? They're, I don't know, 0.6 ETH at whatever it is today, 20 something hundred. So, but I get it. It's not, this is non-trivial money. So one is, most ways that you can participate in crypto today, are almost all of them are speculative, right? Meaning, you put money in and you watch it in the hopes that it goes up or down, and that's even true of like DeFi. Most of like yield farming and many of the current popular implementations of decentralized finance, quote unquote, are pure speculation. Even play to earn gaming, the way that many people participate in it today, it's a very speculative exercise. And one of the inspirations of this project is we really felt like, hey, we can do something that is not purely or even primarily driven by price speculation. We can do something that actually showcases the power of offering people an opportunity to participate in an exciting project with no geographical limitations, with no banking, and bullshit, censorship limitations, with, basically the only limitation being your, imagination and, to your point, your ability to participate financially. So, the bar is not zero. I get that. But if you choose to participate, like if people are thinking, hey, I want to make an investment in actually learning about the potential of crypto, and about, how this model of, basically participating in projects and communities and doing interesting things together works, we're committed to that mission. So, what I mean by that is, you actually have to self-custody your crypto, your NFT to participate in LinksDAO. Like you have to hold an NFT, and it's really hard. You can't like today do that at centralized exchanges. Some are starting to make it able for you to do that, but if you hold it at centralized exchanges, you can't actually vote and participate because they don't connect to Snapshot and the decentralized tools that we used for governance and voting. So, point is, it's like the old, like, give a man a fish, feed him for whatever a day, like, teach a man a fish, feed him for a lifetime. Like, we are literally of the belief that, and I don't want to overstate our mission. I mean, it's a golf and leisure club, like, but I do think like doing things that are fun, doing things that we enjoy. I mean, it literally is a fabric of life. It's what keeps us sane, like particularly in these times when it's so hard to connect with people, and we're often like stuck, like working at home and not connecting with each other in real life to the degree that we used to, and in different ways. So, bottom line is, we're out here. We're a global community that is coming together, that's doing real things. Like you can talk to hundreds, if not thousands of people who've been participating in this Discord, who are loving it. And by the way, some are golfing and doing things in real life. Some are never golfed and are just like, hell, this is a lot of fun to, basically learn about like how these tools work. And anyway, we're moving the phase now. We're actually executing on like collective online governance. Greg was explaining like literally how Snapshot works, and we'll continue to explain these mechanisms of how, literally, a snapshot literally is a snapshot of a block. And did you own that thing? And did you have the right to vote at that particular time? So anyway, you get to understand how blockchain technology works in a relatively low stakes environment, meaning, hey, we're doing something fun that we all care about. If you vote wrong on something, it's not going to cost you, your money. It's just, hey, that decision, you voted the wrong way on it, or you didn't mean to, right? Like you're not. So there's just, it's a great forum for people to use this technology in a meaningful way, make connections, and I think start to pattern match. But on a project that I genuinely and deeply believe, and many folks on this conversation and in the community believe is going to have a really positive impact globally, and get people connecting like in real life as we come out of it. So like, yeah.
And
Anyway,
just to
sorry,
add
I'm
to that,
rambling on.
just to add
No,
on
I
to
think
that, obviously, price is expensive, but trying to think through like digital benefits and how can we really make sure everybody's getting value from this, whether it's from the community or from partnerships or getting linked to others in the space. And that's before we even get to the physical course. But the goal is that we continue to provide enough value through all different types of brands reaching out to us and opportunities, that you feel that that value is received.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's really well said, and I think marrying it with something like golf, something that people are already addicted to, have extreme passion for, go far out of their way to do, and marrying that to kind of this way that you can learn about blockchains, learn about NFTs, learn about the space, get involved, understand how it how it works. I think it's great, and links down to the moon. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, D-Well. Before we move on to our next speaker, let's do a time check on everybody. How are we looking going forward here?
Yeah, I have about 10 minutes left that I got to run, but we're doing another Discord podium tomorrow. Yeah, so can answer more. And I think Discord podium, we should do more questions. Like we can start with questions.
Okay.
But I got 10 more minutes, but other folks maybe can stay on.
Great. Perfect. So next speaker, let's go to Frank.
Hey, what's up, guys? What's up, Mike? Adam, Coop, thanks for having me up.
No
What's
problem.
up?
Hey, I really appreciate what you've been saying, and a lot of committing to supporting the community and working together is a big reason why myself and Stick bought LinksDAO NFTs as another golf project in the space. We wanted to support LinksDAO, and we're really into supporting the community. And along those lines, I'm curious if there's been any headway on community-driven pods or groups to work on things like community-driven perks and potentially reciprocal access at these other projects.
It's a great question. Mr. Senior Hill, go for it, buddy.
What's up? Yeah, so if you check out members' announcements, we talked through a little bit about the vision for this, but initially there was a lot of excitement from like a small group of people who wanted to get involved, and you have like people starting Mulligan and people wanting to work on really boring stuff like project management. And so that those groups quickly started kind of all breaking into areas of focus, and naturally we wanted to create a way to be able to organize because we want to get a bunch of people involved in the future. So last week we launched just sort of internally these pods for the community team. The intention, though, is that those become what you're talking about. And so we'll, on our roadmap right now, within the next couple of weeks, is to launch pods to be community facing. What's really important is to think through sort of upwards mobility from the community. And so as you join the community, it should be really easy to start to earn XP as you become like a valued member of in chats. And even if that's silly stuff or fun stuff or helpful stuff, like you start to earn XP. And then, in the short term, there will be ways to just either be nominated or connect with an existing pod member. And then there'll be a series of roles that you can jump into and then have a specific place where you can dive. So if you're super interested in operations, for example, you can work on things like the pod and that. If you're super interested in content, you can work on generating ideas for content marketing and growth. And so if you look in announcements, the list of those are there. We fully intend for those to be ways for people to jump in and get involved. TBD on how exactly to do that. It's something that we're working on now that voting is launched. And then additionally, we will also plan in the next week or two, depending on how quickly we can move, to publish a more sort of public-facing community roadmap so that it's very clear what each pod's priorities are. So you can look at that and say, oh, cool, operations team is working on this. I'd love to get involved. And then it should be really easy to figure out how. So that's the next step of the vision. First was getting organization in place so that the group of people who are working now can be organized so we don't step on each other. Then figuring out how to advance that to the community so people can join.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I think, for us, like a big mission is just bringing on as many golfers into the crypto space as possible, which really aligns here. And just given price points, with our project and what LinksDAO is currently at, I think it's a really great opportunity for us to kind of expand our reach. So I'd love to talk more with you all about that.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. All right, on to the next speaker, Trucker.
Hey, I don't know if this has been mentioned yet or not, but will there be a way for like people that own a membership and say say eventually the golf course is in Miami, like if I happen to be in Miami with a membership, would I be able to just play there once, but not have to buy a membership just to be able to like have the rights to play there?
Yeah, I think like that's something that we don't know the answer to today. That's something that the community will play a big part in determining. But the assumption is that there's like my assumption and my general belief and like the conversations I've seen in Discord, the conversations I've had, with folks in person verbally, is that we're going to have different membership tiers. So even if like you're not in the area, if you are in the area, you would have the ability to, have that full membership, that like, call it visiting membership, like similar to how many social clubs and other clubs have that. And, my belief is that will be temporary in the sense that we really do plan to make this both through, again, sort of owned and operated, but also licensed, but also partnered properties, a global network, and they've, not 10-year time frame, right? Like a shorter time frame. But yeah, initially, definitely, the idea here is not like that we would force people in Dubai, to hold a full priced membership to to be able to play at the first LinksDAO course if it ends up being in Dallas, to make up a city. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming up and speaking. Moving on, Rachel. Octopus, if you want to speak.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I'm a newbie here. A friend just brought me on today, so I'm just pounding the books trying to figure all this out. So I appreciate what you've done so far. But my question is, just coming from an outsider in, is there ever going to be any sort of staking for these NFTs or like a coin that's involved with these? Like, I'm thinking, of course, big and global. Like down the line, okay, let's say we get a golf course. Like the money's coming into the DAO, but will there ever be like some sort of coin we can earn and then trade or swap or anything like that?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So that, plus, so staking, will there even be, will we go beyond an NFT to call it a fungible token, right? Whether it's ERC20 or another form. I mean, these are things that have not been at this point decided. It would be, we think, extremely interesting. It also depends on what would the mechanism be for that, right? An example could be, it might even be something that we've contemplated today. It could be that the DAO decides that as a community we want to fund, I'm just making this up, an online golf game, right? And funds are allocated to that, and it begins to be developed, and then there's some, like, again, token that's tied to that play to earn golfing game, right? Like, I don't know. As of today, governance is occurring via the NFT,
right,
not via an ERC20, and so again, by the way, there are models for staking NFTs for different rewards. We haven't contemplated any of those. And by the way, the reason that we've contemplated them. They're not available today because it's just, there's so much legal and regulatory uncertainty around staking of NFTs and around these mechanisms, particularly under this administration, which seems hell bent on aggressively regulating not this project, but just in general DeFi and crypto in general. So we're just proceeding with prudence and caution as a community, and so I would say we shall see. But needless to say, we're observing a lot of the exciting and interesting models out there in the gaming space.
Yeah, because I'm just looking at, there's 10, like you said, there's 10,000 ways you could do it. You could do a game, or anytime you use it or get another person in, you get a certain amount of this or that, or and then
you play rounds of the course. I mean, like, this is like, the ideas are endless, right? And I think many people's dreams that I've talked to is that those kinds of things, those kinds of fun games that we all play, and we all play these games, can be manifested in reality, right? Through some form of, like, common token. It's just it's not so let's keep our imaginations open and and watch where the sort of regulatory winds may fly.
Yeah.
And also just how the project develops, right, from a DAO perspective, and sort of over time, like, true progressive decentralization of DAO decision making.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just thinking, like down the line, if say that we end up with 10 golf courses, who knows? Like, would that flow of money ever trickle back down somehow to us, is I guess the main thing, without having to do anything?
Oh, down to the NFT holder. That's a great question about so just today, the default is that you have two separate entities, which is the DAO.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the way that they relate to one another, you have a corporation and you have a DAO with NFT holders. They work in tremendous concert, because if the community is not approving of and participating in what the corporation does, the corporation's done, right? And if if basically the DAO is just, let's say, blocking any reasonable progress, right, and is mired up and mucked up in governance issues that prevent the corporation from being able to execute, like, everybody loses, right? So both entities have a strong incentive, like, to make things work jointly. Mm-hmm. And my supposition in the long run is that you'll have, like, and I think the goal, I know the goal, because I'm part of the folks working on making this reality is that you'll have, sort of cross ownership if we can make this happen, is that they work in concert, right? But just today they're separate things in terms of like the operation of the club. So there's no today, and there never has been a promise of revenue streams from the course flowing back to NFT holders. But the idea is if you create the best course in the world, and then the value of that membership is something that's hopefully really high. That being said, you'll always have this DAO treasury, this DAO community that basically can create something incredibly wonderful together. And again, the corporation's going to always be there sort of buoying that. We're going to jointly develop the roadmap, though, meaning the community and the corporation.
Okay, so the community could, through the token, essentially come up with some way to get some sort of flow coming in the future.
Yeah, so I would say that that's nuanced. I would say that I don't think that has a legal bearing. What I would say is, I think the reverse would work, which is the I don't know. I'm going to get myself in like legal trouble.
Yeah.
I think we're talking in hypotheticals. Yeah, meaning so effectively there's an NFT that gives governance rights and the ability to purchase a membership in the club, and accrues you like tremendous benefits if the community and like the core team deliver, and we're starting to do that, right? Beyond that, I would say it's impossible to chart the course of what the legal and regulatory landscape looks like over 5 years to say, what could happen with cash flows and things like that.
Got it.
I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
but yeah, it's impossible to say.
Okay.
Thank
Anyway,
you very much.
I have to sign off, folks. Really appreciate the time, and we'll be on. I'll personally be on the Discord podium tomorrow night to answer more questions from the community during the vote. All right, cheers, all.
Thank you so much for your time tonight, Mike.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Mike.
it, guys. Appreciate it all.
Can I say one real quick, Dom, before we all hop off?
Yeah,
Still around. Yeah,
we
so
could,
just
never mind. Sorry.
We can go forever. We can go all night. Mike, you can go. We'll stay hang out.
All right, perfect. You guys keep going.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure everyone, if you haven't had a chance to look into Discord, the link has been posted in member announcements to the discourse. Again, I hate the fact that those names are so similar. So go in there and find it. You can link in. You can create an account. If you get a confirmation email via Discourse, it might go to your spam. So just double check that it's there. But once you verify via Discourse, you can hop into the proposal, and all the details are in that chat. So just, again, we'll be around all night. If you have questions, just let us know. Otherwise, get in there and get commenting. And super excited about vote tomorrow. That's all I got. I don't know if anyone else has anything.
I have nothing. I just want to know if you guys are willing to go on longer. If so, okay, yeah, we'll go on longer. Nathan Miller, if you want to speak. Been holding you hostage up here for a while.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me.
No problem.
So yeah, question I had was more related to membership at the physical locations that you guys plan on acquiring. So is the membership to the physical locations, like say a country club, going to be exclusive to NFT holders, or will those also be open to the public?
The short answer is we don't have a good answer on that right now. We don't know. The much longer answer is that ultimately the creation of LinksDAO is grounded in the ethos that we want to make the game more accessible and approachable. We start by enabling that for thousands of members to have an experience that they can't get at any other type of club. In terms of allowing the public to have access to it, I'm speaking on behalf of myself. I'm not speaking on behalf of LinksDAO Inc. or DAO or otherwise. I think having a course that's available and open to the public in a variety of different ways, whether it's outings, whether it's people who grew up in that community writing and wanting to be able to play on that course, whether it's people who, you know, whether it's having charitable events to let juniors play and do something with the first tee. I think all of that is incredibly valuable for being consistent with the mission of why this was started in the first place. And we don't have a location. Nobody knows where this first course is going to be. But I think it's important to be a good steward of whatever community this first course is operating in. And if that course happened to be a public course that's now owned by LinksDAO, I think it would be incredibly short-sighted and antithetical to everything we're doing if we just put up gates around a club and didn't let public members or public access happen there.
Definitely, I agree. Yeah, the thing that first comes to mind, if it were to be limited to NFT holders, is you have a little over 9,000 holders, and it's a lot of people from all around the world, as we've seen. And so if you buy a location initially, I know the plan long term is to acquire a number of locations, but just over the next year, you acquire one location. With those 9,000 people spread out, you could pick out the place with the highest population. You still might only have, a maximum of 100, 200 people in that area. And then you'd have one or two people coming and actually playing the course every day. But then as well as an NFT holder, if you're, willing to shell out the money, I know there's online advantages and digital advantages. But you would still want some type of perk at the physical location as well above somebody from the public who's not an NFT holder and wants to come sign up for a membership or just wants to play and pay a greens fee just for the day. So I'm sure that will be worked out in the future, but was just curious if you guys had any specific plans for how to go about that.
Yeah, I would say that I'll just say when someone, and I'll answer your question by saying this: when someone enters the Discord who is not a member, and generally is a skeptic of what we're trying to do, they typically say they're a member at a club that has 300 to 400 members, and it's always crowded, and they can never get a tee time, or they can never get the time that they want. And how do you expect to have a club that has 5,000 plus members? It's going to be an awful experience, and you should not waste your time buying an NFT, and you should just join a small club. And then there's other people who start to think about all the different ways the math can work and the geography can work to enable a course and a club that has this many people that want to play. And those people generally figure out what are the factors and levers that you can pull on to enable that type of play. We think that there is an opportunity to do that even with one course in a business model that's financially sustainable and we think is superior to other club models. And there are a few courses that operate this way in the world right now, and we think we can do it at a greater scale than they can. But that's all I'll say in terms of how we're thinking about providing an experience that works for as many people as we possibly can while still providing without compromising the golf experience.
Definitely, yeah. Thanks for that. I appreciate all the work you guys are doing. Really exciting, really cool project, and I'm excited to see what's to come in the future.
Thank you so much for coming up to speak. We're going to move on to the next speaker, Rachel. Give you a second chance.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry about that earlier. My Twitter Spaces sometimes has some glitches, but thanks for bringing me up. Really love this project. Love to see the utility focus behind it. I'm happy that there's more projects doing it. But I was wondering if you guys were thinking about additional revenue streams to support the club and kind of the effort beyond kind of where you are today. Given that this is obviously a community of golf enthusiasts, I'm sure there's a ton of brands or other kind of revenue stream opportunities that have or will pop up, and how you guys are thinking about doing that or dealing with that or not in the future.
Yeah, it's central to what enables us to have a great membership experience that's as low cost as possible. So we think that there are a bunch of different ways to generate additional revenue without compromise. Like basically everything that we would do to generate additional revenue is all in service of a more affordable and more accessible membership experience, because that's at the core of what we're trying to do. And we think there are a lot of things that we can do as a club that a lot of other private clubs could do if they wanted to, but they never will, because it totally is counter to the brand that they're trying to cultivate. And the most obvious example, and one that I'm sure the people that are involved with the project are tired of me of giving, but I'll say is the most obvious one is there's a reason why when someone goes as a guest to Pine Valley, they spend $5,000 in the pro shop and they buy quarter zips and hats and polos for all their friends and golf buddies at home. It's because Pine Valley will never sell that merchandise online. But if Pine Valley had an e-commerce site, they'd probably do $20 million a year in revenue. And so we think that's a no-brainer option for us. And we think we're building a brand that crosses multiple categories. We think we're building something much more akin to a lifestyle brand than a golf brand. And we think that there's an opportunity to build and grow affinity through apparel and brand related deals. And that's sort of like most obvious low hanging fruit for us in terms of being able to generate revenue that mitigates the cost put upon members.
And Rachel, just to build on that too, and also to the previous question, I think what we're trying to do is find all available revenue streams that keep the cost of membership down as much as possible. And to that end, we want to make this, again, it's about being accessible, right? And the previous question was, will memberships only be available to NFT holders? Potentially memberships, but maybe not access, right? So there's difference between being able to access a club on a limited basis versus being a member at a club. So I think what we really want to do is provide the most utility to our NFT holders as possible, keep the cost down for our NFT holders as much as possible by finding alternative revenue streams. But also, if we feel like as a community it's the right thing to do, make it accessible to folks that might not be able to buy an NFT, that might be in the community or otherwise.
Thanks so much for that. And if you don't mind, if I ask one more kind of follow up, how are you guys thinking about diversifying or like making sure that you're inclusive for all golf lovers? Not trying to be the token female up here, but I love golf. I always have. But I'm often in the minority there, especially in the Web3 world. So would love to hear any ideas or thoughts you have on expanding that or making it more accessible to everyone.
Yeah, and Rachel, I would say this, as a white guy who loves golf, I am so unqualified to answer that question. Meaning, like, this is one of the beautiful things about the DAO. Like, we really just need ideas from the community on that. Like, I'm talking to the first tee tomorrow, and like, I'm really passionate about supporting that cause because it greatly expands accessibility of a very like typically exclusive and non-inclusive sport. But honestly, Rachel, please speak up. Any way you think we could be more inclusive based on your ideas, that's welcomed. A bunch of white guys at the top saying this is how we're going to be more inclusive, I think is total BS. We need great ideas from the community for people that actually know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I have some ideas and some other kind of thoughts that I could DM or share in the Discord.
I would love that. Yeah, please DM me, Discord, anything. Yeah, please.
Okay, perfect. I will do that. But while I'm like up here and just kind of overall getting more women into NFTs, which counts in this project as well, having run a project of my own, I see one of the biggest barriers is education and just being really open to questions and making people feel like there's no dumb question. It's like, how do I actually connect my wallet? How do I get USD into ETH and like pay for this? Just stuff like that, and making that education channel, I think, is one huge thing. Elevating other women as part of the project is another huge way to get more people involved. You see it with World of Women, you see it with Crypto Chicks and Crypto Coven. those are all like female focused projects, but one of the reasons they are bringing females in is because there's females at the front of it. And there's other amazing female led projects. I'm gonna ping mine, Apex Optimizers, but overall, I think having those two things, the education and females at the top, really helps. And then making sure you say things exactly like what you did. Like we want more people. It's not just females. We want everyone, and we want their ideas, and we want to make this better, because ultimately it's going to be a better community for everyone.
Rachel, thank you so much for everything you said there, because it's so important. And just again, like this is supposed to be like the ethos and philosophy of this project is about like inclusion. And one of the great things about Web3 too is as we share together, like there's a lot of stuff that we don't know that people in the community do know, and that can bring like incredible value to the overall project itself. So like the more you can get involved, the more maybe people on the spaces that aren't speaking up feel the same way and get involved. Like that's what this is all about. So please get involved as much as you can.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thanks for having me up.
Thank you for speaking, Rachel. All right. Moving on. I think we're just going to do 2 more questions from you guys. Just want to remind everybody, tomorrow we have our podium within the Discord. Looks like we're going to be doing an AMA session the entire time. So be aware of that. So the next speaker, GraguV.eth, if you want to speak.
Hey guys, how's it going? Excited to be a part of this project. An avid golf lover. I had a couple of questions, and so I was hoping I could run them by. My first question was in regards to the course location. I know that this is something that obviously is probably going to be voted on, but I just wanted to kind of get a better understanding. For instance, if let's say I live in the western part of the United States and the course is located on the eastern part, I mean, will there be things set up in place for me to be able to get like maybe discounts at other golf courses, across the country? Is this something that y'all are looking at doing?
Yeah, it's a great question. Let me actually answer it in 2 parts. One, we're trying to provide as many benefits to all the NFT holders as we can. So if that's access to golf courses across the country, that's something we're actively talking to a bunch of more of like the national golf course networks about. But also understand that no matter where the golf course is located, the majority of folks that own NFTs are not going to be right next door, right? So
Sure.
if it's in Miami or if it's in San Francisco or if it's in South Carolina, because like, I mean, what better place is there to build a golf course on sand than like the South and the Carolinas? Most of the people are not going to be right next door. So I would say that like we don't know what the structure is going to look like for the membership itself, but we're trying to basically make it as easy for all of the NFT holders to say, I'm going to purchase a membership. Maybe it's $100, maybe it's $1,000, maybe it's $5,000. We don't know, but basically we want to make it a no-brainer for as many folks as possible that own the NFTs. So maybe once a year you can go there. If you live next door, maybe you're there every single day. But we definitely want to make it like very affordable and accessible for all of our NFT holders, no matter if they're across the country, across the world, or right next door.
Awesome, man. That's a great point. Like I said, I'm super excited about the project. I can't wait to see what happens. Yeah, and I appreciate y'all doing this space today. This has been extremely helpful.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks,
So,
man.
moving on to our last speaker, Francis.
Hey, what's up? Yeah, could you guys just talk a little bit more about how you plan on raising capital to eventually purchase a course, and kind of what needs to happen before the team kind of goes out and tries to acquire that capital?
Yeah, I'd say that's still a work in progress. I think there's a lot of interest in our project in general, across the board, from like traditional golf companies to, again, folks in the Web3 and crypto space, to individual investors. So I don't think we have the full answer to that, but I think what we do feel good about saying is that we'll be in a place in the next 6 months or so to really go out. And we've already done so much work. And Bez Adam, who's he was speaking before, he's been leading the charge in terms of speaking with the golf course designers, really getting a great handle on golf course economics and business models. So we feel like in the very near term, we will have all of the necessary information that we need to go out and buy a golf course, and there's no shortage of experts in the space that are dying to help us do that. So again, timing is still a bit up in the air. We're 5 weeks in. The last few weeks have really been about like gathering information so we can as a community make like really good decisions, and we can feed back good information to the community as well as we're starting to think about like where we want to build this course, what type of place we want it to be. So I'd say that patience is important for everybody because we don't want to go out and buy a dog track and be stuck with it, obviously, as a group, just to move fast. But we're really committed to finding an amazing place, designing it in the right way, and really having it being like a next generation experience.
Francis, if you have anything else to add.
No, that's it. I just wanted to say that, obviously this is pretty new, but just how fast the community's grown, and I'm really happy to be in this project, and I think the future's pretty bright for all of us.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. The team here is really good at what they do, and I think a lot of them are really passionate about what they do for this project as well. So I just want to say our final farewell. We had a ton of people join us, a ton of new faces. Coop, if you have anything to add.
Yeah, definitely. Great spaces here, guys. Really appreciate it. And the responses we're already getting, some of the ideas and comments on discourse have been excellent. Some really thought-provoking concepts, ideas for how to move forward, and that's exactly what we're looking for here, right? This and seeing it really work is seeing it start to come into reality is it's a magical feeling. So, props to the whole team, everybody involved in making this happen. It's been really, really cool. With that, let's keep LinksDAOing and make this mission come true. With this kind of momentum and the work that's going in, I can't see anything but complete success happening for all of us. So thank you all.
Thank you for those words. And I just want to remind everybody, for people who weren't able to come up and ask a question, we apologize, but I would pay attention in our Discord for an announcement. We don't have a time picked yet, but we know it's going to be tomorrow. So just be on the lookout for that. And with that, I would like to say farewell to everybody. Take it easy.